Joining me is Chris Robertshaw, Douglas East MHK. We're talking about the TT. There's been comments from Mr. Skelly, I think, and the papers have carried it, about the TT situation next year. May happen, may not happen, is what they're basically saying, I think, wasn't it? I mean, your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are we must remove uncertainty. The hospitality sector has obviously been through a profoundly difficult period, and it won't be able to cope with a second year of uncertainty. And while we're not saying there is a TT or there is not a TT, while we're not being specific, it will cause uncertainty, and I think we have to have that. Now, how do you achieve that? I suppose it's trying to commit to TT at the moment is rather like imagining we have Russian roulette with two chambers and one bullet. It's a binary situation. TT will either happen or it won't. And what we can't do is wait and wait and wait to decide whether it's going to go ahead or not. Now, at the end of the day, reasonable and rational thoughts makes one realise that if we did go ahead with TT, there's going to be a huge invasion of people in June. And so we have to be very clear that we're clear of COVID transmission effects, which is going to be highly unlikely in any reasonable event. If at a late date, and I'm talking about sort of as early as January, February, if we cancel TT at that stage, then you're leaving another huge gap at the earlier part of the season for the hospitality sector, and it's too late to do anything about it. And asking the hospitality sector, the hotel sector, to go into another period of major uncertainty is wrong. So my view is we cut to the chase as early as possible, and I'm saying within the next few weeks, and saying however much we want to run TT, we're not going to.
Okay, so the way the Chief Minister's talking on these Thursday Voice of the Nation speeches, we're not even moving down one level here. I mean, he absolutely stuck where we are because there is that fear of what's going to happen, the unknown of allowing any more people in. That's how I think he put it, really. Even if they came under present circumstances, under the same situation as Manx people, but it would increase the risk, is how they put it. So basically, surely there can be no way the TT will ever be seen this next coming year. I mean, I think everyone knows that. Surely. Well,
we should say it then, shouldn't we, Paul? Because what we can do is, if we say it quickly, if we say it now, if we predict there will be no TT, then what we can do is create and invent a progressive reopening of the sector from as early as April on a controlled basis. For example, it should be possible to consider opening other air bridges to other destinations, and we've never been in a position like we are now, where there are so many aircraft just sitting on the ground and air crews with nothing to do. So I think we need to be innovative and say, okay, how do we reintroduce the visitor sector into the Isle of Man in a controlled manner, in a way that we're secure and comfortable with? And that's the challenge, and we have to make that decision as soon as possible. For example, right now, because of uncertainty in the earlier part of next year from the hospitality sector in the UK as a whole, there are people actually, and further afield of course, there are now people making decisions about staycation holidays in the UK now. So the market is building in the UK now. If we hang about like sort of guys on the street corner full of indecision, wondering what on earth we're going to do, we're going to miss that opportunity.
Well, let's put it this way. I mean, something I'm thinking of, that the TT could go ahead if all the riders, for instance, were given a special clearance for a bubble, do like they're doing on these TV shows now. They're putting them all into the same place, so they could do a 2 week or 1 week without test isolation. So the races could go ahead, maybe, but no input of people, probably. Is that a possibility in your mind?
Others would know better than I, but I would look at it from a business perspective. Yeah. And that business perspective is it goes ahead, but it doesn't achieve any financial gain of any
television rights. Well, the ones you pay for them, don't I?
But put it this way, Paul, there's a massive cost to having a TT. I mean, we're in the millions, and that's been articulated many times. What if we say now, no, we won't go ahead with TT now, we'll cut our losses now, and we'll reapply some of that funding to generating a progressive opening of the sector as early as possible with such things as air bridges and whatever. And as the winter progresses and we learn even more about COVID, and we learn and find ways of introducing well-controlled markets back into the Isle of Man, both for people to leave and come back and for visitors to come in, then we'll progressively open the sector again, rather than this black and white binary big bang success or complete failure. And I don't think in a business sense we should be doing that. The latter, I mean.
I suppose another thing to stand in the mix, if there is a vaccine out there, and if things move faster than most people are expecting at the moment, there could be a game changer there. But
yes, but let me stop you there.
Yeah.
But that's still the Russian roulette, two chambers and one bullet, because we won't know that for some considerable time. And if the answer to your question is, well, no, there isn't, then it's a really incredibly difficult situation for the hospitality sector. Can I just make the point that you don't make a decision about how to cope with TT Week a few weeks beforehand. It's a massive build-up that starts any time now, including bookings.
I'm just trying to think,
and stock and inventory and staff.
But when did they actually pull the plug this year on it? It was within a couple of months, wasn't it, sort of thing?
Well, yes, but that was inevitable. And
but they left it, and you know.
Well, yes,
in a sense, they didn't put it straight away, but
fair dues.
We were in unknown territory, maybe.
We were in unknown territory. We're now in territory where there's an awful lot more rational thought, and stuff is being learned every day.
Okay, so when do you think they should make that announcement or decision anyway?
Within the next 2 weeks.
And to go ahead would be impossible. You can't just say it's going ahead.
You can't.
But they could stop it. I mean, that's the only one. The choice is leave it
what happens
fluid or stop it.
No, stop it and say, okay, but what are we going to replace it with, and how are we going to reapply our energies and finances? For example,
and that's what the hoteliers are going to be asking you. You're Douglas East, where you got most of the hotels.
I am deeply concerned about the future of the hotel sector in Douglas East. Of course, that's why I'm sitting talking to you now, and they cannot deal with any more uncertainty. You talk about this idea, for example, of running a TT without visitors.
Well,
it's in terms of application of time of officers and various sectors of divisions of government, et al. It's a massive job, and that's just for 1 week, and we would end up doing it with no visitors. Now, how would that be anything other than a significant loss? Whereas if we turned all our energy and a significant amount of that funding into a progressive reopening of the sector, then at least hospitality knows where it is and can rebuild back in the hope that as the summer progresses we can build into a full-blown tourist season again.
With air bridges, though, but where else is it even looking like it? I mean, Jersey's not even likely at the minute. I mean, there's not many out there I can think of. Iceland was one of the keep mentioning. But
there's a lot more opportunities there for developing market segments based on growing knowledge and understanding what we can and can't do than playing Russian roulette with TT.
You talk to these. It must be the one sector that, of course, is absolutely stuck. I mean, other things have come back online. They're getting until March now. They're getting some help, I think, is the latest update.
Yeah, well, that was stage one, was to make sure that we had enough recognition of the dire straits that the sector is in, that we got the support on salary support scheme and the capacity scheme, the strategic capacity scheme, and we're grateful to Treasury and Comin for recognising that there is a really desperate situation down there. It must be responded to. But now is the time to address how we're going to relaunch the sector next year.
And the further advanced, the less the cost must be. Because I saw the costings that came in just for cancelling it last year. There was quite a hefty amount of money that went out regardless.
Absolutely. So is it not intelligent to reapply some of that money? And as you say, the earlier you cancel, the less the cost. Reapply some of that money to innovative and intelligent ways of...
Are you pushing for this then? Are you going to push Mr. Skelly, the Chief Minister, get a...
Well, the debate is on now, but what concerns me is that we're prevaricating a little bit. We're not perhaps approaching it in a ruthlessly business-like way, and I hope I'm trying to articulate that now, and that will feed into the discussions. But I do hope within a few weeks we say yes or no. And if we say no, we're not. We need to establish with the hospitality sector what it is that we are going to do, and that's going to be bold and as it were, as far as possible risk-free in terms of bringing visitors to the island.